All right. So thank you for being on our June 20th WebEx call. In the room today, we have several people, including one of your fabulous analysts, Steph. She is going to be available to discuss and talk about some of our e-prescribing and some of those
Abby DeWitt
has joined the meeting.
Questions that we've had along the way. However, because we just went through our lovely and fabulous upgrade, we are going to actually get started with Sam Lanyo, who is manager over core clinical teams, and she's going to give you a few updates related to the upgrade and future upgrades.
Hi, everybody. So the Epic Champions received an email link to a survey requesting feedback about your participation in the upgrade, your preparedness for the upgrade. And we also sent a separate link to managers. The questions are just slightly different. If you haven't taken an opportunity to give us some feedback on that survey, please take a moment to do that. That information was sent out by Kim Otter, so please search your email for the link. I'm happy to say we got some great feedback from you all. Majority of the feedback was very positive, and found out that you guys are participating in your clinics, preparing for the upgrade in a lot of different ways. So I'm just going to share really briefly a couple of the ways people indicated that they were either preparing their peers for the upgrade, or how they were available during the upgrade and were assisting people. So the majority of people said that they worked alongside their manager and they were able to either present at individual pod meetings or entire large clinic meetings. They shared the PowerPoint that Kim provided to you all with their peers. Some good feedback that we're going to take back to our training team and see if there's something we can do to enhance was, hey, we felt good about the clinical content. However, we'd like some more front desk content for our PSCs. And so we've heard you, and that's something we'll definitely try to work with some of Kim's counterparts on and see if we can replicate some of that best practice and give some love to our front desk staff. So hopefully that's a good thumbs up. For the subsequent upgrades, so traditionally, we have upgraded around every 18 months. What comes with that is a large volume of changes. And so Epic has changed their upgrade schedule. Instead of big, large upgrades every 18 months, we're going to what's called a rapid release schedule starting around November. And then we have
joined the meeting.
Tiny mini upgrades every 3 months. So again, working with Becky, Gina, Kim, and a few of our other trainers for our front desk folks, we're trying to determine best ways of getting information out to you guys on changes that are coming. So I wanted to make you aware of that. So the next upgrade is in November, and then from there, it'll be about every 3-month cycle. The good news is there's not going to be the volume of changes you would see in 18 months. It's going to be less changes spread out moving forward. So if you guys have any questions about that, please email me. Again, my name's Samantha Lanyo. My last name is Lagneaux, or reach out to Kim Otter or Gina and Becky, and they can pass the message on to me as well. Now I'm going to hand it back over to Kim to talk about some of the changes we made.
Okay, one of the things we wanted to talk today about is the concept of how do you place orders appropriately when you want to put in a script for a controlled substance, but you cannot have it done with refills. So how do you have an order where you have multiple of these all at the same time? And with appropriate starting and end dates. And that's one of the things that we want to talk about today, because we're hearing from the inpatient side, pharmacists, physicians, nursing staff, that when they're doing med rec, if we do our due diligence ordering it properly, then when they go to these other areas, they will not be discontinuing or deleting meds off the list thinking they're identical or duplicates, but rather understanding that this is perhaps a 3-month supply with appropriate start and end dates. So we're going to go through what does that look like. So if I were to queue up something like Lortab, I can have it done once. I'm going to queue up Lortab the second time. And a third time. So I'm essentially going to plan to give this patient a 3-month supply of Lortab, but appropriately configure the script so it prints out on the script with an appropriate start and end date. So your normal information is going to appear, and what we want you to do is you're going to be providing a 3-month supply. You're going to do one of these at a time and indicate on each one a specific duration. When you select a duration, it is going to autofill a start date, of course, of today, and then the 30 days out. So this one is going to have a starting and an end date. They have done some special configuration, so when this script prints, and ultimately e-prescribes, but for now it prints, the starting and the end date will be actually listed on the script. So the patient and the pharmacy will be able to see that specific piece of information. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to then select my second order here. And instead of it starting today, I'm actually going to have this one start in 30 days. And this is going to be a 30-day supply. And so what happens here is it then auto-fills in this field saying first fill. So this one is not going to start until 7/20, and it will run through 8/19. And my final one I'm going to select is going to start actually in 2 months. So this is going to be T plus 60, and it's going to begin on the 19th and last for 30 days. So as long as your dates are not overlapping, and I think I did this with the right dates. Let me double check it goes, end is 8/19, and the next one then opens up, and the next one begins on 8/19. What this allows for is that the medication list on the patient's chart is appropriate and accurate. And again, inpatient staff pharmacists are not going to be discontinuing these or deleting them off the medication list thinking it's a problem or a duplicate. The other thing that it's also going to do is it's also going to be auto-calculating appropriately the morphine equivalency daily dose. So if I go and look at my MEDD field, right now I have nothing on the patient's list, so it's not calculating any morphine equivalency daily doses. However, after signing for these orders, I do get a duplicate medication notification. However, because you know you did appropriately define these scripts in the right timing, you can override these fields utilizing the appropriate documentation reason as appropriate. Okay, so what that reads then is in the MEDD field here, it's going to read. Now, as you can see, I did not order it properly because my ending dates and my starting dates did overlap. So from 6/20 to 7/19, I have a 20 milligram morphine equivalency daily dose, but on 7/20, I actually have 40 because my next script started on the 20th. So I did not do that quite right, but you can easily see then the appropriate morphine equivalency daily dose. So between appropriate documentation on the medication list and also appropriate calculation for our providers, we want you to be ordering those things in that way. What questions do you have
has joined the meeting
on that process? Okay, so we're going to take this and fast forward about a month from now. In about a month, they are going to begin allowing some of our clinics to work through, our pilot clinics, be doing a pilot of our e-prescribing of these controlled substances. And here's what you need to know. Some of you are going to be in those pilot groups. If you are in a pilot group, on the day we go live with that e-prescribing of those controlled substances, you need to know that your medication, when you order that medication, and you queue that up, On that day that we go live, your class will now go to normal. Normal indicates that it will e-prescribe. This will be the true for everybody across the organization. If you search for the order as if it were a brand new order in the lower left-hand corner, it is going to queue up normal on that day. If your team is not part of the pilot and you are not going to e-prescribe quite yet, it will still say normal, but the system will then print that script for you. What is important to know is if you use a preference list for your order where print has been pre-selected, you will need to go in and update your preference list to make sure it reads normal. There will be more communication coming out as we get closer to that go live about how do you e-prescribe, what does that workflow look like if you are in a traditional clinic or if you're in a scribing clinic. What does that workflow look like? What do the screens look like? What will the provider need to do utilizing their fingerprint reader and all of those fun pieces? But we wanted to let you know about that piece in particular today. Another topic related to prescribing that I want to address is something related to tapers, ramps, and combo doses. One of the things that popped up and that we talked about last time, I believe we were on this call, is related to do these items auto-calculate as you are tapering, ramping, and doing combo doses. So if I were to take something like a prednisone tablet of 50 milligrams here, I can begin to say I want a 50 milligram tablet, perhaps I want to say twice a day for 5 days, beginning on 6/20. And then you'll see your starting and ending date listed here. Then we will go on, and you'll notice the quantity is at 10 tablets. Then I'm going to add a dosage period, because after those 5 days, we're going to go down to a 25 milligram dosing twice a day, starting on the 25th, ending on the 29th. Auto-calculating my quantity. And then I can drop in another dosing period of 25 milligrams daily, and that can also be for 5 days, starting, ending, and a new quantity. Now, because my amount has been calculating and I'm using half tablet sizes, I get this inline warning that says I'm dispensing more than I should for my total duration, because you'll have left over half a tab or so at the end of that, and that's just because of the configuration and the dosing that I did here. But I think that one of the questions we had last time was, will it auto-calculate and that sort of thing. Right now, if you are going to have this SIG, and it's going to be quite lengthy, you are going to want to switch your class to print. When you switch it to print, the system will be happy to print that SIG off. It will not e-prescribe at this time. Beginning on January 1st of 2020, it will e-prescribe, but for now, those kind of longer medication dosing or more complicated SIGs that are longer will need to be, you'll need to select to have it printed. What questions do you guys have on prescribing, e-prescribing, combo, taper, dosing? Okay, so I'm going to have Becky come on up, and she is going to start talking about a few of the things that have happened in the upgrade that we know have been questions or tickets along the way. We want to let people know of a few things that they can do.
Hi, everyone. So one thing I want to talk about this afternoon is the schedule. One thing that we've heard a lot is not everybody likes the pictures and how wide the schedule looks. So there is a way to, I got to move a window here, to actually collapse this, condense the rows. So if you're able to go in here, mark that, it will condense your schedule down to the way that it was presented to us before in Epic. So the update actually did auto and created the bigger rows. So that's something that you can change back and forth. We've been hearing that a lot of people don't like the pictures, some people do like the pictures. I'm gonna go back to my Nader patient, is I know scribes for sure are having issues with this, the order bubble. So if we are ordering order meds or a referral, I'm just gonna order, what? Oh. I'm gonna do Lipitor. And the bubble comes up. See how then, if we have notes as a scribe, you have to see your note, maybe you're typing information in there, or you're actually, your order bubble is hanging out here. One of the options is to actually create orders on the side tab. And if we want to move our note back to the left-hand side, we can actually, I know I can't see it. Move to the left pane, back to the left-hand side. So if you move that back to the left-hand side, then we're able to actually see what you're prescribing or your orders, document in your note anything that you need. So these are two ways to toggle with your note if people prefer. I'm going to move it back to the sidebar. And we can actually move this back down to the floating window, to the bubble. Any questions on how to move the note, how to make the orders as a sidebar? F3 would actually, an option is to actually make the note a floating window. So just by a quick key, the F3 will float it. The other option or information I'm going to discuss today is patient instructions quick buttons and note writing quick buttons. These can be handy for a lot of people use them for like adding in a template, but then you can actually add in your own, if you have a scribe signature, if you have a note that the provider likes to pop in at the end of every note or instructions, you can actually create those here. I'm going to put in a scribe signature and see how it defaults and creates a button, but I'm going to call it my sig. So see how it then edits that. I'm going to accept this. We now have a new button showing in the note. So if I go to the bottom of the screen where I want my note signed, all I have to do is hit that. It will import anything you need in there. So any smart phrases, smart text. So that's an option to fill in. Anybody have any questions with that? That's just your wrench.
Has left the meeting.
You can always delete these too. See how you highlight and there's an X to delete them. So if you created one, you're like, well, it's not very helpful and I want to get rid of that, then you can always go back in there and delete it. Another option that they created for us in this upgrade is actually creating quick buttons, speed buttons for your patient instructions. One of them would be, there's an example of like a follow-up. We'll just call this follow-up. So if you're typing in patient instructions and you always want to drop in a favorite saying or information that your office is only open certain hours for the summer, anything like that, for the patients that will print on their ABS, you can actually add that quick button. Any questions about those items that I've shared with you? Thank you for your time. give us an email or give us a call if you have any questions.
Okay, as I said earlier, in the room we have one of our wonderful analysts, Stephanie, here with us. And one of the things we want to let you know that we've received a number of tickets on is the idea that when you have the print pop-up or the secure chat pop-up in the lower right-hand corner. Right now people are getting a little frustrated by that pop-up happening. Maybe it's covering over your orders or getting in the way of other things you're doing. That window, the print window or notifying that something has printed, as well as the secure chat pop-up window, are in Epic, they're essentially the same type of window. And so if you were to actually drag that window to another part of your screen, it will stick there. So whether it's the secure chat pop-up or it is the pop-up for that notifying you of a print, if you drag and move that window or that pop-up to another part of your screen, it will stick it there going forward. So hopefully that kind of solves some of the frustrations you've had or irritations that you're getting lots of pop-ups and things, lots of things happening in the lower right-hand corner of our screens now. Okay, awesome. So we are a little ways into it, and we know you guys probably have lots of questions or things you either want to share or ask about related to the upgrade or other things, of course. Free forum now. If you want to ask a question, you can unmute. You can also, Becky is sitting at the computer with the chat feature on, so if you'd rather type in a question or something you'd like us to address, you are welcome to. This is your time. Anything at all that people are wondering about or asked about. As you guys are contemplating that, I want a quick reminder. In the Friday updates, the last several weeks, and including this week, we will have additional topics of interest.
Abby DeWitt has left the meeting.
Additional things that are new, exciting, interesting, you may want to know about. So if you have not had a chance to review your Friday updates in the last 2 weeks, there's about 15 additional items that have changed that we think may be of interest to you guys. A couple of them we have talked about today, but many others we have not. People have also asked about how do I get to my buttons. I don't want to drag my mouse all over the place sometimes, and I don't want to have to come all the way down to my lower left-hand corner to open or add an order. If you hover on some of these buttons, you're going to see additional keyboard shortcuts. In this case, if I were to type a Control-O, the Control key and the letter O, no matter where I am in my screen, perhaps I'm back in rooming, I can type a Control-O, and it automatically takes my cursor down into that field. So if you would find that useful, you can certainly do that. You have additional options as well. Printing the after-visit summaries, the Control-T, signing orders. You have additional functionality by, again, hovering on those and identifying what is that keyboard shortcut that can make you navigate through the system a little bit faster. All right, well, if we're not hearing anything that people really would like us to review today, that's perfectly fine. If you do think of something, please don't hesitate to reach out, either the ITCC in the bucket of tickets. You can certainly call, email, and what we can do is include some of that in our Friday update so we can notify everybody of that if that is of interest to you guys. We, again, appreciate you being on the call today. We really appreciate you being champions and participating, and we look forward to every month to getting in touch with you guys, letting you know of some new and interesting information, and trying to keep you as on top of all this stuff as we can, and allowing you then to be a great resource in your individual clinic. So thank you again for your participation. We'll be back online with you guys next month, and in the meantime, keep reaching out and letting us know how we can help you. Thanks, guys. Have a good Thursday. Bye. Epic Training
has left the meeting.